girl who went to sleep and awoke someone else. Once there was a girl who could always find her way home. Chapter 1. Alice. "I'm telling you we're not lost," I said, but my daughter looked worried. Really, we were stranded with a dead battery a few miles south of Savannah. We'd traveled all day, over 300 miles to cross the length of the state, from the mountains in the north. But my planning had been poor, to say the least. I'd underestimated the distance, then taken a wrong turn that had cost us time. Now, as dusk settled around us, I felt sick as we stared at my daddy's broken-down '38 Ford pickup truck. Penn said, "What do we do now?" "It's fine," I lied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "Come on. We can walk there." We'd passed Hawk's Feed and Seed about a mile and a half back, the only store on the road that might have been a help to us, although I dreaded walking into the place again. In any case, it was already closed up tight for the night. The shadows stretched as the swampy air filled with a choir of indistinct insects and frogs, and I knew there were things in these wetlands that were dangerous. I reached under the seat for a flashlight, but came up empty-handed. I said, "I know this road. We're not far. We'll be there before it's really dark. We'll deal with the truck in the morning." Penn pulled the strap of her satchel over her shoulder, looking around with hesitation. I shouldered my own thin bag. I hardly knew what I'd packed. "I can't see anything. There's nothing out here," Penn moaned. Clearly, this was not the adventure she'd had in mind when we'd left home in such a rush late this morning. I'd shut Mearley's, our family-owned service station, and told my stepmother Imogen not to open it to strangers. She'd rolled her eyes at what she deemed my unfortunate mistrust in my fellow man. I knew as soon as we left, she'd be happily feeding hobos out the front door, and they'd all love her for it. Imogen was honey, where I'd always been turpentine. "You wanted to come here, remember?" I teased Penn. "It'll be worth it. It's not that bad." I was counting on it. I needed a way to snap her out of the dreamy, despondent state that had settled over her in the last 2 years, changed her from a daring daddy's girl to some shadow of herself. I feared where things were leading. 3 years ago, when she was only 10, Penn had become enamored with the Brownell Academy, the only all-girls college preparatory boarding school in Georgia, grades 9 through 12, a few hours from us. We'd just entered the war, but her daddy had enlisted immediately and gone overseas to fight. She was restless and worried and fed up with the dull education she was enduring in Helen, where local kids often dropped out around 7th grade to farm. Even though she wouldn't even be eligible until high school, she'd called the school for an admissions packet and started writing an essay with a determination that could have won awards, begging to apply early to ensure her chances of a slot. The waiting list was years long. But I'd refused. I'd made excuses. I had reasons that were personal, secret reasons that reached beyond the financial challenge or Penn's chances of acceptance. But then I'd watched Penn forget her dreams, and her heartbreak was worse than anything I had feared. Last night, while everyone slept, I dropped her packet in the mail. Out of caution for her feelings, I wasn't sharing the extent of my plan until I knew for sure that I could pull it off. It was now the spring of 1945, and my husband Finch had been killed in Italy 2 years before. The war had crept into the small rooms where we lived above the motor garage my daddy had owned on the outskirts of Helen, Georgia, a remote and failing logging community on the verge of becoming a ghost town with less and less traffic on the highway. The change was so quiet we hardly felt it at first, but with so few travelers, the need for our services was all but obsolete. Ration